I'm trying to imagine from my phone, and you click on me, I think you can make...
Okay. Let me... Okay.
That work?
There we go.
Awesome. Yep. Thank you so much, Rob. I apologize for the inconvenience.
Oh, no, not a problem. Thanks, Peg.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right. How many people? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, we're good. Okay. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Sandwich Commission on Disability meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Today is Wednesday, May 1st at 4:30 p.m. This meeting is held remotely in accordance with state laws and regulations, most recently Chapter 22 of Acts of 22. This meeting can be seen on local channel 9 and on live stream at sandwichtv.org. It will be available on demand tomorrow on their website. In addition to be recorded by SCTV, it's also being recorded by a third party. We will begin with roll call. Joe Sonyer is not here. Alex Beaudry.
Hello.
Kelly Trapasso.
Here.
Janine Cullen.
Present.
Candida DeSanti.
Here.
Dawn Jellison is not here. Julia Wright is not here. Lisa Judelson.
Present.
And I'm Meg Keegan, and I'm here. We can start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance.
Wait, time out, Meg. Who's gonna do minutes? Joe's not here.
Just text me. He's gonna be here in a minute. Plus, this is being recorded by...
Oh, perfect. Okay.
Yeah, but that's fine. He said momentarily. Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, and justice for all. All right. The law that forms the COD, Part 1, Title 7, Chapter 40, Section 8J states, such commission shall 1. Research local problems of people with disabilities, 2. Advise and assist municipal offices and employees in ensuring compliance with state and federal laws and regulations that affect people with disabilities, 3. Coordinate or carry out programs designed to meet the problems of people with disabilities in coordination with programs of Massachusetts Office on Disability. 4. Review and make recommendations about policies, procedures, services, activities, and facilities of departments, boards, and agencies of said town as they affect people with disabilities. 5. Provide information, referrals, guidance, and technical assistance to individuals, public agencies, businesses, and organizations in all matters pertaining to disability. And 6. Coordinate activities of other local groups organized for a similar purpose. Give me 1 second to get back to the screen. Here we go. We are just going to start. We'll do approval minutes later. We're just going to start. Going to hand it over to Michelle.
May I just interject, Mike? Do we need to acknowledge that Joe is here?
Joe's here.
He just joined.
Sorry,
you know what I mean?
the wrong calendar invite. And
do you know how we do that?
I don't know how we do that correctly, but I feel like there might be a correct way to do it.
Joe, are you present? Joe Selman, are you present?
I'm present.
All right. He's here.
Cool.
Thank you, Alex. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Alex.
So the agenda item is open meeting law complaints from Candace Thompson, dated March 28th and 29th. Receipt, review of complaints, and determine responses to complaints. And Michelle is going to handle that first. Thank you.
Thank you, Meg. Folks, my name is Michelle Randazzo from KP Law Town Council. Y'all can hear me, right? Okay, great, thanks. I'm here to sort of just walk you through the process of reviewing the 2 open meeting law complaints that were identified on your agenda. I'll explain to you a little bit of the process and what you have before you to consider. So typically when we get open meeting law complaints, I've worked on several, throughout all of our communities, and sometimes it's the easiest way to handle these is for me to give an overview of what the complaints, allege, give you a little bit of my sort of take on the complaints. The commission would have an opportunity to ask any questions or can go straight to taking a look at and reviewing a draft response that I've prepared for your consideration. Obviously, this ultimately is the commission's response. So when we get to the part of discussing what response the commission would like to make and in consideration of the draft document that was in your packet, you can feel free to, make any changes or corrections or, ask me questions about why something is worded in a particular way. After that discussion concludes, if you are satisfied with the draft, either with or with the draft response, either with or without changes, I would ask that the commission take a vote to adopt the draft response and authorize me to send it to the complainant on the commission's behalf. That's generally sort of the most straightforward, easiest process that I think helps guide us in this, in what is a regulatory requirement, which is whenever you folks get an open meeting law complaint, the public body that is the subject of the complaint is supposed to review it and provide a response to the complainant. And so basically the 2 complaints that you have before you today, as I'm sure you've had an opportunity to see, allege basically that certain members of the commission acted in an official capacity in commission meetings and took votes before they were officially sworn into service. And as you'll see from the draft response that I've prepared, while there is a statute out there that generally requires that folks be sworn in by the town clerk before they enter into official service, that's not an open meeting law issue. Simply a separate statute for which we've argued that the Attorney General and the Division of Open Government, which is that department of the Attorney General that's responsible for open meeting law enforcement, it simply is not a requirement of the open meeting law, and it's therefore not under the jurisdiction of the Attorney General. And that, quite frankly, is the gist of the response that we've given, that we've prepared. We have stated that, notwithstanding that we don't think that this is an open meeting law issue, that all members have been properly sworn in at this point. And that step, we'll make sure to, do better next time, so to speak. Just to talk briefly about the swearing in issue, as I said, there's a statute that does require it, but whether that has any, the impact, the practical and legal impact of swearing in or not swearing in, what that may be is really, it depends on the nature of the commission or the board or committee. It depends on whether you're performing statutory functions or advisory functions, whether, what the specific action was that was voted on. So, while we want to do our best to ensure that moving forward, all folks are sworn in when they start their service, I think that again, it's not an open meeting law issue, and I'm not too worried at this point that there was, sort of any improper activities or there's flaws in whatever actions may have been taken at the time. So now I'll open it up to any questions or comments.
Yeah, the only thing was where I know that online it lists Charlie as a member, but he's not one, so it's 9. That would be the only change that I would make, is then of members.
Thank you, Meg. Yes, that would be a change that we would make in the final version of the response. Does anybody else have any comments or questions with regards to the draft response?
No, I just want to say thank you, though, for putting that together.
Well, and you're very welcome. You know, it's part of the job. It just can be a little easier for you folks to, when you're considering these complaints, to have that before you rather than sort of talk about it, try to decide what your response might be, have someone put it in writing after the fact. You know, this just expedites the process.
May I ask the question? So what would the expected next steps be with this then?
Great question. Great question. No, great question. So the way the state regulations that govern open meeting law complaints, the process generally is the complaint comes to you folks. Even though it's on a form that the Attorney General has put together, you are the first step in the process. You are required to respond in writing to the complainant within a, time period that's set forth. And then once that written response is issued, then it's up to the complainant to decide whether or not he or she wants to continue to pursue that complaint to the Attorney General. As a matter of practice, we do address the response to the Attorney General's office because they keep track of the complaints and the responses. I think it's more for ease of reference in the event that the complainant decides that they want to further pursue the complaint with the Attorney General. If the complainant decides to do so, then the Attorney General will do its own review and analysis, and they'll issue a determination. There's not a real set time frame for that to happen, but they'll issue a determination either finding that there was no violation of the open meeting law, that there was, that they're declining to review this because it's not within their jurisdiction, or, any sort of permutation of those. In instances where the Attorney General has found an open meeting law violation, they may recommend remedial action, or they may require remedial action. Again, I don't think that's the situation here, but just so you know, for future reference, that's the general process. And then once the Attorney General does their review and analysis and issues a determination, then we may have to take some further action after that.
Thank you.
Sure. And so unless any other commission members want to talk further about this complaint or the response, I would suggest that a motion be made to adopt the response with that change from 10 members to 9, and to authorize me to send this response out on your behalf.
You have a crafted motion.
Well, that was the motion. Somebody. So the motion would be that the commission adopt the draft response with the change in the number of members as drafted by town council, and authorize town council to send the response on the commission's behalf.
I move to adopt the draft response with the amendment of the number of persons to 9 and send that as our formal response.
Is there a second?
I second.
And just to clarify that you're that you want me to send that out on your behalf.
If you can, I think that would be great.
Yes.
It's the best thing to do. Okay, we're gonna go for vote. I'm gonna bring up the list of names here. I'm gonna say your name wrong again. Joe Sonier. Did I do it?
Got it. Yeah. And I vote yay.
Alex Beaudry.
Yes.
Hilly Trapasso.
Yes.
Janine Cullen.
Yes.
Chanda DeSante. Oh, did she drive off? She's dealing with it. Lisa Judelson.
Yes.
And I vote, Meg Keegan votes yes. So,
Okay. Thank you, folks. Well, stay tuned for any next steps, but in the meantime, have a good rest of your meeting.
thank you so much. I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Bye now.
Thanks, Michelle.
So Brendan came to give us an update on one of our agenda items. So I just wanted to for perspective, Brendan's time, address that next.
Meg, may I interrupt again? I'm sorry. I think I'm on high alert with open meeting law now, so just something needs.
I can't hear you. Say again. You're muted.
Sorry. So I'm probably a little bit hypersensitive right now and not knowing all of the meeting law rules, which I know that there are some. I'm educated on them. Does something need to be noted that Shonda is not voting because she's not here, even though she was on our roll call?
You just want
You
me
know
to
what I'm saying?
It's been noted.
I just don't know. Okay, I just don't know if we need to.
Yeah,
I just- yeah.
But thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate your mindfulness to open meeting law.
I am trying my best. But I don't know if it's the law, to be completely honest. Obviously,
Yeah.
but I would assume that if we have a member that was here and is not voting, it's either she's abstaining from voting or she has left, and we might need to note that.
Thank you.
Okay.
So
This is Lisa, and Janine has also done a bunch of research on the open meeting law too. So I think that some people who have been more, I don't know, who have read through and done more research on it. I think it's great to have people chiming in whenever, because I think it is new to a lot of us, and the more observation we have, the better.
yeah, and Bud said that he's gonna get us a training because I guess
Mhm.
I mentioned this last time. The the open meeting law is changing,
Mhm.
so there's a training that comes up. He's gonna make sure that we get it.
And for full transparency, I do not know if it matters. I just would not want us to find ourselves in a
Right.
situation where we were violating anything and just wasting resources by having to, you know what I mean? Like, I just would prefer that we not violate it. So I was
can
just bringing
appreciate
that just bringing that to the attention that I'm unsure, but it would make sense to me that may be a stipulation that if someone were not able to vote because even though they were on the original roll call, that maybe we need to note that. So we have noted it. She did not abstain from voting. She had left the meeting.
Yes.
Mhm.
What I'll do to handle that going forward is if someone drops off, if I don't notice, let me know, but I'll just note when I go through the names, I'll notate it. Does that work? And now Chanda's back. So, but I think it matters. We have enough people, so I think it just matters when we vote. So
Okay.
I'll make sure that when I do the roll call that I notate if someone has gone or not, but thank you. So Brendan was kind enough to come to give us an update on the Oak Ridge accessible parking compliance. And I don't know if there's anything else that on the agenda that he would like to speak to, but I know that was one. Thank you, Brendan, for coming.
Sure.
Miss you.
Yeah, so that's basically where I came from. I know I had been asked about the updated voting rights and elections website, but I think you said MOD was going to cover that, and I think that would be better rather than have me as the ADA coordinator speak on that. But as the ADA coordinator, I did receive a complaint regarding parking at the Oak Ridge School. The individual came and stated that there are 2 spots only and they're taken up pretty quickly, and this individual who has trouble walking, uses a cane for walking, had quite a distance to travel to get to the school. So I wrote to Chris George, the facilities director of facilities. Chris got back to me, and I thought he had a great idea. He sent me a copy of the complainant gave me a copy of the parking layout, which did show 2 spaces. But Chris had a great idea. He said there's spaces out front, which could possibly be used as accessible parking. I thought it was a pretty good idea because I think the schools were built in the early 90s and the ADA was written into law around the same time, the early 90s. So there might not have been as much, there may have been some consideration given to accessible parking, but possibly not enough. Oftentimes people just designate the spots, even though they're, 2 miles down the road or whatever. So you obviously need to be pretty close to the entrance. I did get a follow-up email from the principal of the school, Trish. Trish, sorry, her last name escapes me.
Hill.
Trish Hill, thank you. She wanted to point out that there was plenty of handicapped parking in the school. And I got quite excited when I heard that, because I thought, wow, the US Open is coming to Sandwich, and I didn't know that. But it turns out what she was actually referring to was accessible parking, and that there was enough there. I saw 2 spaces that were marked on the map, but if indeed there are, the particular parking lot in question would require 5 spaces, and one of them being van accessible. So I'm waiting for an updated plan to show where the spaces are, and I do think Chris's idea was a great idea to put the spaces out front, if that's something that could be done.
Brendan, the only thing I'm thinking about, this is Kelly. I do have a handicap plaque, and sometimes they have the front entrance blocked off for various reasons. So I find that I can't park there, or I don't know, I can't like break through the barrier type thing. They like use like sawhorses or something. So,
right. Well, that's something that would have to be visited, I think. I'll talk a little more with Chris about that. If it's accessible parking that's been provided, then it should be in accordance with the name, accessible. So
yeah, and I have had luck. If there's a policeman there, my husband has said like, "Oh, can we go to the front spot?" And they've let us like go through. But sometimes somebody's not there.
Yeah. Well, I'll bring that up again with Chris, so that we're all on the same page there.
Yeah,
But if those spaces are there for that purpose, they should be made available. I don't see why they couldn't be.
I was there earlier today picking up my son, and I took a picture of the spaces. So there's a reserved spot, a van accessible spot. At least that's what it's labeled. I don't know if that's what it is, but I think I sent you the picture. And then there's a regular spot. And then I think there's an accessible spot on each of other parking lots. So that would still only be 3. But like Kelly said, I mean, depending on when the person is trying to access those spots, if the buses are in the loop, they don't let anybody in there. So I think it would, but if the buses are not in the loop, like you said, it's a really great spot because it's close. And so, and there may be a way that they can get in there. Who knows? I'm sure things will be worked out. But what I appreciated that Chris wrote was that this is going to require them to need to relay out spots, because if they have to put a certain spot in, that it might take up more space, and so they have to lay out the whole. They may have to lay out the whole parking lot, and he didn't seem to have any problem with that. I'm sure it's an inconvenience, but I appreciate his willingness to want to go through that trouble. I know that teachers are very predatory about their spots, and that may cause some trouble. But the fact that they're willing to do that, because it has to be done, I was very appreciative of.
Yeah.
No, that's great. Yeah, I was there last week and the spots were full by the time I got there. But I'm always able to get a spot when I'm at Forestdale, for example.
So that was actually my question. So what is the setup at Forestdale? Because they have very similar, the schools are laid out the same.
Oh, you got muted. I don't know what happened. Mercury's in retrograde.
So that was my question, was have we looked at Forestdale? Because the schools are set up the same. There is some difference in the parking setup, but not vastly different setup. Forestdale has that little low down sort of parking over on the right rather than on the tennis court, where I know a lot of the staff parks at Oak Ridge. But the basic I mean, it's set up a little different, but that's, I guess, if we're looking at Oak Ridge, should we also just look at Forestdale while we're here?
Yeah, Forestdale does seem a little different. It does seem to have more spots, but I'm not sure exactly how many.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be, Chris should have that plan, right?
Yeah, I would imagine the plan that they have of Oak Ridge is very well put together. It certainly shows the layout quite well.
Yeah, I think that was like the teacher assignment sheet.
Oh.
But I think what I hear you saying, Alex, is that we could take a look at all the parking lots.
I mean, I feel like if you're doing it, we might as well just do it rather than be readdressing this.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, it just makes sense. Like, if this is something that we're going to be interested in looking at, let's just do it now.
Yeah,
for sure. And then
I think, when the school was built in 92 or thereabouts, early 90s, there may have been some boxes checked to say we have accessible parking, but the views of today, I think, are a little different, and it should be revisited just to make it more convenient. Maybe it needs the accessible spots need to be relocated to closer to the building in some different way or something.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, I'm sure Chris can provide you with the layout and whatnot. And if they do all the schools at once and they have to repaint them or whatever, that's going to be more affordable for them versus hiring line stripers 3 different times.
That's exactly my thought on that as well, Meg. Is that it just makes sense if you're going to do a project, to have one big project, and it's almost summer. Have things just. I mean, I know they use the high school in the summer for the summer scholars and the credit retention program for the older kids, but it just seems like it would make sense all at once.
Yeah. Great idea. Thanks, Alex. Lisa, did you have something to say?
I do. I have a question. So my kids are obviously not in the schools anymore. But when they were, I know that there were kids playing out in the front, and that often is why it got blocked off because of water, where they were unable to play in other parts of the property. They would be out in that front loop. And so, if that's the case, then having the accessible spots there might be fine for teachers in the mornings, but for parents coming in during the day, I know I often was unable to park in those front spots.
Now that they have the playgrounds, I don't think that they play on the front anymore.
Okay.
They still do, at least at Forestdale, when it's like
wet.
The playground's soaking wet or whatnot. They'll play just in the front.
Wait, they do drainage in the playgrounds? The new playgrounds?
I'm just going off of what my daughter says. I don't know why they're doing it in the front, but there are days where they just do recess in the front.
I mean, we don't have to solve it. It's something that we can just, putting the spots out front is great unless they're still using the loop. And if they are, then those spots won't be available.
Right, that's an issue. So maybe you think the whole parking plan and make areas that are closer to the building accessible, maybe from the other side of the parking lot, and not try and approach on the loop, because obviously that is important both for security and for safety when the kids are getting on the buses. But that's something we can present. I can present to Chris and see what he thinks and see if he's got any ideas.
Thank you.
I thought the same thing, Lisa, and I think just to clarify, I don't think, Meg, it means like wet, like unsafe because there's puddles. I think like just raining and the kids get on the bus. The kindergartners are very lucky that they now have 2 recesses, and some of those kindergarten classes go out at like 10:15 for their first recess. So the playground itself may have still been wet from the rain, and they will play in the front loop, if that makes sense. So whenever I go before, so it's almost always closed off still. So I thought the same thing. I don't think that that's the best place for all of them, at least.
Yeah. It'll be good to have some in the loop for when they're available. It has to, yeah. And I'm sure Chris and you can figure out logistically how that would work. This is a great discussion. Does anybody have any other questions for our EDA coordinator? No. Thank you, Brendan. Nice to see you.
This is Lisa. Can I ask one more thing? I don't know if this it's not on the agenda, but is there a boardwalk update?
We're really hoping that we'll be done before Memorial Day, with anything before Memorial Day a bonus. Originally, we had hoped to be finished sooner, but weather is it's quite an issue down there. But they're doing a great job. They're moving along nicely. Most of the decking, if not all of the decking, is down. A good percentage of the infill and the guardrail is in place. The stainless steel grid pattern, which actually looks great. You know, both looking in from the outside, you can't see it, and then when you're on the boardwalk, and if you're in a lower position, such as in a wheelchair or somebody who's not as tall as the railing itself, you can see right through. It's really pretty spectacular.
Great, thank you.
The part on the beach end that has a walkway, did that end up having railings on it?
Half of it does, and the last portion does not. It's got a like a little bumper in the event of a wheelchair traveling across, would stop it from rolling over. But once you get to the about 26 inches above grade, then the railing comes into play.
And that's adequate?
It is adequate, yes. No, it looks, you'll see it's wider than the original boardwalk, so I wouldn't see anybody feeling insecure in any way walking across that area that doesn't have the guardrail. And it really, I mean, when you get on there and you walk across, it's definitely going to be a feeling of security for folks who have any disability that would prevent them from going on the older version.
Right.
May I ask for an update?
So, I'm sorry, say again.
I just had a question about the Adventure Playground. I don't know if you have any idea on a timeline for that.
Sure. I did a final inspection on the town playground on Quaker Meeting House 2 days ago. Two minor things. There's a latch on the chain link gate that goes into the area for the younger kids, and they're going to fix that and make it an accessible latch. There was no landscaping in the budget, so obviously they need a parking space, an accessible parking space. So they're putting down an accessible mat as a sort of a temporary move, probably for the next 6 months, where you can actually park a vehicle and get out and traverse into the playground. The playground itself is quite amazing. They're hoping to be open by the weekend. If you get a chance to go up, you should definitely go up there. They've got this amazing thing. I've never seen anything like it. It's like a huge kind of a swing that you would drive a wheelchair onto, and you can actually swing with another person. Quite amazing.
Yeah, she showed us, and she said, like, it's not just for wheelchairs too, but also for strollers and stuff like that. But the presentation that she did, that I was like in tears. It's
quite amazing. There's another swing then that a parent can sit in, and a small child can sit in their lap, facing the parent, and there's a backrest for the child, so they both can swing in the swing.
That's
really
awesome. We had. I don't know if you can help with this. We were thinking about wanting to participate in the opening if there was an official opening because it's so accessible. I don't know if you talked to Trish. We tried to reach out, but
I don't know if Trish is going to do an official opening because they got a pretty busy schedule coming up. I know she was really anxious to just simply open it on Saturday.
Okay.
As far as the school playgrounds, they have we did a temporary until I think it was June, and I haven't heard any more on that yet.
Did they put the more of the rubber surface in there?
I haven't received any call yet, so I'm not aware of that.
Okay, I haven't looked. Awesome. Anything else to ask Brendan about? This is on the agenda, and you're sure you don't want your seat back?
No, I'm good for now. Working out well.
I'm gonna ask you every time you come, Brendan.
That's all right.
Anything else for Brendan?
Thank you for all your help.
Yes, thank
Absolutely.
you. We appreciate you.
Sure. All right, folks, have a good evening.
You too.
Take
You
care.
too.
Okay. Let's go back to the minutes. So minutes were sent out a while ago. I sent the minutes that Dad Joe did. Right, pretty much when he sent them out, which I think was before the other meeting. So I'm just trying to look on this for my comments of all the list of all of the, see if it comes up on my phone, of all the minutes, so we can get those approved and sent over to the town clerk. I don't know why my comments aren't working. They're coming up. Oh wait, were they on here? I will come back to that after I find it. But so let's go. So thank you, Lisa, for sending out the DOJ's new rulings for mobile accessibility and voting. It was a lot of information. I reached out to Brendan and said, hey, can you come speak on this? And as he said earlier, he thought it would be better for the MOD to come. So I was going to invite them to come speak on this, if that was something we wanted to do. Is anybody opposed to that or have a different idea? So I'll see if they can, when they can come down. Some of the things under the web accessibility, this last agenda that went out, and maybe Lisa, you can, if you could speak to some of this stuff, wasn't accessible on the actual agenda. Joe, you may know about this. The OCR wasn't picking up and having the full link be in it. But I feel like that can be modified or edited to work. If not, the other suggestion I said is take the accessible one that's sent, this agenda that, and upload that, and then also upload a stamped agenda so that we have an accessible version. That would eliminate the need to use OCR, especially if it's not working correctly. I can also reach out to the person that got us to having the agendas OCR'd, and I don't know why the last agenda was not made accessible. But Lisa's been working with that, so I'm gonna have her speak.
Sure. So I spoke with Taylor because the link on the agenda does not work to get us into Zoom because of the way they need to scan the agenda and then date and time stamp it, which is a requirement. And it's been happening for a very long time, and that's how they are required to do it. So that part is not negotiable and required. But what we did come up with as a plan for now, Taylor and his office are posting. So if you go to the town website and you go down the list of options to meetings, and he was going to try and have that changed to meetings calendar or calendar meetings. There is an option for agendas, but not to select that one, but to click on the calendar meetings. And then Commission on Disability, there will be an agenda there that, like Mike said, this time was not accessible, but has been in the past. And then at the bottom of it, it will say, click here to join Zoom meeting. And his office has said for any meetings that will be done by Zoom, there will be that option to click here to join Zoom meeting. And I clicked it and it did take me directly to the meeting. The other option is when Meg sends out the agenda, that click here for Zoom meeting is working. But once it gets date and time stamped by the town clerk's office and then posted, that the link for the click here goes away. The other option that I did find is that if you go to the town website and you sign up to get notifications for the Commission on Disability, you get an email before the meeting notifying you the meeting's happening or the agenda's been posted. And that has a Zoom link on it, which I used to get onto the meeting. So that it says, gives the Zoom link, and you just click it and it takes you right into the Zoom meeting. So that actually seems to be the fastest and easiest. I'm glad that we have the, click here for Zoom after the agenda for anybody that might want to, from the community that's looking at our agenda and wants to join quickly. But I think once someone's interested in participating and wants to join regularly, we should advise them to sign up for the email notification. I think that's the most direct. And hopefully that works for, again, all of the meetings that are Zoom. If people sign up, they can get the link that way.
Alex,
So-
did you have something? Oh, go ahead, Joe.
I was just going to say, I know the town has to sign it. Why can't it be an electronic signature? That
It's
would
not a
retain all the.
No, and we've been through this, a bunch of different ways. And so it is, when they get the agendas, they physically need to stamp it with a specific stamp and date it. And that has to that's official record. And then that has to get posted. So then they scan it back in to post it. And when that scan in happens, I will actually, when it's printed out so they can physically stamp it and date it and the time, then it's on a piece of paper. So it's not electronic anymore. And obviously then the link doesn't work. And then when they put it back in, it's, they can OCR it so it's accessible, but the link, it's a piece of paper being scanned in as an image and it's made accessible, but the link no longer activates.
Right, because the OCR can't understand click here to join because it's an OCR and not an accessible document anymore.
Correct.
I just don't understand why we can't move away from paper.
Well, that is a long-standing town necessity, and so that doesn't seem to be. We were trying to figure out a workaround from that. So if they maybe posted the agenda prior to the dating and stamping, just as information, and then posted a second one. But for right now, we were working together to try and collaborate, and this was an accessible way to get the link working. If people wanted to join rather than transposing the numbers to the Zoom account page, which was not acceptable I can't do that. And I don't know, I think there's lots of people that would have trouble with that. So, it's temporary. We're still working on it for sure, Joe.
I'm just curious why they can't just use the stamp feature inside of Adobe.
So
I don't know.
So I asked a little bit about this, and Dad Joe, if you want to reach out to Mike Toomey, because or I can give you the contact from the MOD that actually was the person that got them to OCR the stuff. He was great. I think his last name was Dias. I'm happy to pass that information on to you. He would know. But what I understand, which is not much, is that they have to keep a paper copy, which is separate. You can still, right? You could use the stamp in Adobe probably and print it out, right? And keep it digital. You don't have to go backwards. But I would reach out to the contact that I have. And if you want, you can reach out to Taylor because he's the one that stamps it. But I bet you the guy from MOD would be able to give you a definitive, clear answer on what is allowed, because he was the one that understood this the best. So I'm happy to pass that information to you.
Yes, please. I put it in the notes. And Alex, I think you had something.
I just have a question. So, is our meeting now currently live on the public television?
Yes.
In town, or is it being recorded? Okay. So, I don't know, this seems like a short term, but we don't do public comment. So if you're someone from the public and you'd like to watch our meeting in an accessible manner, you can watch it on the public television as well.
Yep.
It's the same as attending the meeting, right? Because we voted to not have public comment. So we do have an accessible way to access it currently.
Well, so
Yes.
but if someone were to speak here, so if we were to invite someone, right? And I think, that there should be as many accessible ways to do something.
Okay.
And yes, I agree with you that, you know, if they were just observing, they don't actually have to come to the Zoom meeting. But if someone were to, like, if we had someone come that, that's blind and go over accessibility features, like talked about the website and all of that, that person also needs to access it. And I think, you know,
100%.
kind of the bottom line, at least for me, is there shouldn't have to be another step unless it absolutely cannot be done. Making our agenda have a clickable link is absolutely doable. So I don't know why.
I totally agree with you, Mike. I was just clarifying that is
for sure.
available. And because I think it's so it's sort of a moot point for us at this exact moment, but for other groups that might be doing hybrid or may have Zoom portions, etc., of their meetings, I want to make sure even more so that those are also accessible for people if there are any other committees, commissions, whatever, boards. And so that is, I guess, the piece that makes it really matter to me. It's like, okay, great, ours is on public television right now, so it is, you know, accessible, but it may not be. So the point is just as important. I just wanted to clarify that at this exact moment, this is accessible, and we can figure out the details of the link hopefully before our next meeting.
Yes, the meeting as of right now is accessible. What's not accessible is the agenda.
Okay.
So it's a little bit, just a little different. The meeting can be seen, but if somebody has a desire to show up to the actual Zoom meeting at this time, they cannot click on the agenda and link provided on the agenda. There's other ways to do that, and I'm very appreciative of all the workarounds that were made. Finding the most effective and efficient, least restrictive way to do that is best. I think Joe and Lisa will be able to accomplish that for sure. I have much faith.
For sure.
I mean, just speaking for myself, sight is not a disability that I have, but I myself have had issues with the Zoom links, especially today.
For sure.
I agree, and I you know, the recording on or them broadcasting live happened, you know, this meeting and last meeting, but we started talking about this prior to even that happening. And I think anybody, Chanda, I think you speak to that point that dealing with all those numbers to try and get into a Zoom is tricky. But I also, my sense is that if people can watch this at home, which is awesome, and then maybe decide how interested they are, and maybe they do want to come to the meetings and participate, and then hopefully have a way to get right on. But we can work on all of those in the future.
For sure.
So, Lisa, can you remind us where we sign up for the notifications from the town for the meeting?
Yes, so it was actually on that same page. So if you go to the homepage of the town's homepage on their website and choose, so you have to keep, if you're doing it with VoiceOver, you have to keep going down quite a bit. If I didn't know what I was looking for, it would have been a little challenging. And it either says meetings or calendar meetings, depending on if Mike has changed that yet. And when you click on that, again, you need to keep scrolling down and find Commission on Disability. I think it's in the spotlights when the meeting is current. I'm not sure what will happen tomorrow, but there should be an agenda. So if you then click on Commission on Disability, the agenda is there with at the bottom of the page, click on the link for the Zoom. And I think somewhere up at the top, it says sign up for notifications from this committee, and you put your email in, and then it signs you up. And then I think you have to go to your email and then approve it. It'll say you've signed up for notifications from this committee, and you just have to click the link there to initiate it.
Okay,
I can talk to you more. Sure,
Thank
I can.
you.
Oh, mm-hmm.
And Lisa, is it subscribing, or is it are you subscribing to the calendar, or is it like an email? Okay, no, I see. Email. I see it all now.
And
Okay,
text.
I will include both of these links in the agenda.
Thank you, Joe.
Sorry, in the meeting minutes.
Great.
So I'll include how to subscribe to the calendar and then how to get notifications, the general link.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
Thanks.
Tom has just arrived. So under this bullet, and then I'll go back to the meeting minutes because I finally found my list. Alt text. I know that the description for the voting clicker went out, and I just put the photo in ChatGPT and said just make alt text for this, and it did a fairly decent job. And I sent that out to see if the town wanted to use that, but that was another thing. There's a couple of things that come up, like even on when you get those notifications that include photos, and I didn't see alt text on there. I know Susan Morancic tries to be really good about doing that. She was telling me that she also uses ChatGPT to make alt text. And so I think that's just like another somewhat easy thing to be able to do for some photos, especially if we're like, for me, it was important with the picture of the voting device to, have a visual of what that looked like.
And I believe Adobe pre-populates alt text using its own, I don't know if AI is the right word, but they do pre-populate it themselves.
Cool. Maybe they should hire you to teach them how to do that. Good to know there's a resource. Okay, let's go to the minutes. Do we want to approve these in bulk or one at a time? Probably the official way to do it as one at a time. Anybody have say?
I make a motion that we approve the minutes.
In bulk or one at a time?
I mean, it's our meeting. If we say we're going to approve them in bulk, is that
If
okay?
not, we'll just have to, someone complains, we'll just have to do it again next time, not in bulk.
Well, maybe it's best to just do them individually, just so we can forego any unnecessary.
Sure.
So what would be the
We'll do
terminology? So
Yeah, I'll say, I can say what it is and someone can say so moved and someone can second. I just need to pull up my list of names. Okay, so April, or we'll start with September 11th, 2023 minutes. Does
so
someone-
moved.
Okay, to approve those, is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Joe Sonier,
Yay.
Alex Beaudry,
Yes.
Kelly Trapasso,
Yes.
Janine Cullen,
Yes.
Chanda back, yep, Chanda DeSanti,
Yes.
Dom Jellison, you're muted. Oh, there you go.
Yes.
Lisa Judelson,
Yes.
Meg Keegan in favor. Passes unanimously. September 6th, 2023 minutes up for approval. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second,
I second.
Second.
Joe Sonier,
Yay.
Alex Beaudry,
Yes.
Kelly Trapasso,
Yes.
Janine Cullen,
Yes.
Chanda DeSanti. She's still here.
Yes. Sorry, my phone is slippery.
I'm just looking at two screens. Dom Jellison,
Yes.
Lisa Judelson,
Yes.
Meg Keegan, yes. August 2nd, 2023 minutes. Joe Sonier,
Yay. Passed.
Alex Beaudry.
Meg, do we have to make a motion to approve them and then second?
I'm trying already. Hold on, where are we? August 2nd, 2023. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Joe Sonier,
Yay. Approve.
Alex Beaudry,
Yes.
Kelly Trapasso,
Yes.
Janine Cullen,
Yes.
Chanda DeSanti,
Yes.
Jellison,
Yes.
Lisa Judelson,
Yes.
Meg Keegan, approved. Is there a motion to pass the January 3rd, 2024 meeting minutes?
So
Motion
moved.
to
Pass.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Joe Sonier,
Pass them. Yes.
Alex Beaudry,
Yes.
Kelly Trapasso,
Yes.
Janine Cullen,
Yes.
Chanda DeSanti,
Yes.
Dom Jellison,
Yes.
Lisa Judelson,
Yes.
Meg Keegan, approved. Okay, we're doing good. I'm gonna get your names down and not struggle so much by the end of this meeting. March 6th, 2024, approval of minutes. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Yes.
Second,
I second. I second.
Joe Sonier,
Yes.
Alex Beaudry,
Yes.
Kelly Trapasso,
Yes.
Janine Cullen,
Yes.
Chanda DeSanti,
Yes.
Dom Jellison,
Yes.
Lisa Judelson,
Yes.
Meg Keegan, yes. All right, two more. Is there a motion to approve the April 3rd, 2024 meeting minutes?
Motion.
Is there a
I
second?
second.
Joe Sonier,
Yes.
Alex Beaudry,
Yes.
Kelly Trapasso,
Yes.
Janine Cullen,
Yes.
Chanda DeSanti,
Yes.
Dom Jellison,
Yes.
Lisa Judelson,
Yes.
Meg Keegan, yes. Last one, is there a motion to approve the April 24th, 2024 minutes?
Motion.
I second.
Joe Sonier,
Yes.
Alex Beaudry,
Yes.
Kelly Trapasso,
Yes.
Janine Cullen,
Yes.
Chanda DeSanti,
Yes.
Dom Jellison,
Yes.
Lisa Judelson,
Yes.
Meg Keegan, yes. Teamwork makes the dream work. All right, where are we at for time? Okay. All right, so we will invite, if nobody is against it, we'll invite MOD to come down and talk about accessibility and voting. And if I remember correctly, for the website accessibility, municipal entities or public entities need to have this done within 3 years. I think 2 was for under 50,000 and over 50,000 it was 3 years. So so glad we got them started that early. But yeah, does anybody have any, I don't know, comments, thoughts, ideas about that?
This is Lisa. I know that I forwarded you that email that I had gotten about it. I did not read through all of it. It's a lot. And I feel like having the MOD comes to explain it and then answer questions is the best way to go.
For sure. I agree. All right, well, the next, so the town meeting voting devices, so Sandwich Community Television had posted a instructions and it didn't have sound, and Lisa paired up with them, and they ended up adding a voiceover to it. I thought they did a really great job. Does anybody have any comments on that?
I just want to say that I called Paula to ask about it, and she said we should be adding an audio description. And so they just ran with it. She was all ready to go with it. It was very easy, and they were very helpful.
Yeah, now that they'll be, putting our meetings up there, I want to make sure that their website is accessible as well. I did run it through Wave earlier today, and definitely saw some things that might be a problem. I also reached out to Julia O'Leary at the MOD to ask her about how entities, businesses, small and large, may go about getting an audit to see what they need to improve. The thing that she provided me was like the state contracted people that do that, which I think I've posted in this meeting before. So like that's what the schools would use, or the town, and they can be used, but it wouldn't be under that contracted cost. It would be a different cost. I'm still researching. On my website, I use that little checker to change anything that I can, to make sure that I'm keeping it accessible as possible. But one of the things that I want to be able to do is give businesses a easy way to be able to do that for themselves. So, more to come on that. Did anybody go to the voting device information session? Did you go, Lisa? I know a few people did.
I ended up not going. There was a series of things that happened, and then the driver from the Council on Aging hadn't really been notified, and it was there was a lot going on at my house, so I ended up not going, and the bus ended up not taking Janine, Kelly, and I, which is, it's not their fault at all, but it ended up just being, no, it was.
Did they end up recording it or anything?
Say it again.
Did they end up recording it or anything?
No. When I asked Taylor, he was clear it was not being recorded.
Are they? I know
sure.
Someone in Chatham was telling me that when they went over to voting devices, they held like multiple sessions. Times that were after work, before work, so different people could come. Do you know if they're going to be holding any more, or if?
I'm not sure that they're doing any more in person. I know that the instructions with the audio description are on YouTube and on the website, and there was that in person, and I know there are written instructions, and I think they're planning to do another explanation that night. So I am not sure that, it's next Monday is the meeting, so I'm thinking no.
Yeah. Well, hopefully everybody that wanted to get their hands on it can. Right. Anything else about town meeting voting devices? Oh, okay. So Brendan already talked about the Oak Ridge accessible parking. I don't have any updates on the intersection. The guy that the super, whatever he's called, for Lawrence Lynch is told to me to be really awesome and does a great job, so that's useful. Does anybody else have any information on that? It just seems to be happening. Oh, okay. Kelly, have you been able to do anything more with the SMORE newsletter and digital accessibility with the schools?
So, it doesn't seem like everything has been totally updated yet with the text only link. So, I'll follow up again and see what they say, but I also think they need the alt text too on the pictures and stuff like that. It's just, I don't know. Yeah. It's a long process, I guess.
Yeah, not giving access to information that's on. Again, it's about like having it be the least, least restrictive.
I do really appreciate the text link, but then Lisa brought up a good point that we could get blocked out of the Google Meet doc if a lot of people were trying to access it.
Yeah, and I tried to put up a shared Google Doc for this group, and Janine wasn't able to access it at all. So she wouldn't be able to. There's going to be other people who can't. So I don't think that that's actually going to work.
Yeah, I know. And I mean, I know she's been great, but I just think it's maybe out of her and I's hands to a point, to figure this all out.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Christine's job is to hold the school accountable, not to do the job for them. And so I think they need, there should be a technical person that they hire that should be able to do that. That is my understanding. I appreciate all that.
May I make just a suggestion? And I would be happy to reach out to them. So there is an organization that it's the Northeast Resource Center for Vision Education. So it really, they focus more on like training for educators to work with the visually impaired or blind. They actually facilitate all the grant funding for my master's program. But I'm wondering, I'm going to reach out to them if everyone is okay with that and see if they have some ideas of where to guide us and what to do. If that's
I like that idea.
That would be great.
I think if the school had a clear cut what to do, it would really help them. I mean, I think they want to do it. It's just baby steps where are going slowly for this process.
Right. I will.
Sorry, go ahead.
I will reach out to them, maybe someone in assistive technology, and see if they. I mean, I don't think it will be them, but maybe they can point us in that correct direction.
That'd be great.
We cannot be the only school dealing with this problem.
Right. Yeah, and now with the law passed requiring that to be done, they're gonna. I mean, the amount of accessibility changes that have to do with disability and all of that. I mean, every school everywhere is going to have to up their game for that.
Kelly, you said they're still not doing the alt text?
No.
That is mind-boggling to me, as it's integrated into the newsletter. When we saw Kelly and I went down to the superintendent, he was showing us, and I could see as you load pictures, there's a field under the picture. All you have to do is type in what you want, and it embeds the alt text automatically. So I'm just...
In the text doc they did, it just goes really fast. Like Lisa brought up a good point. You have to listen to it without stopping it at all, too, which could be hard if you got interrupted.
So I think, Joe, that the workaround was that there was a text-only version of the newsletter that you could click at the heading. You could click on the text only, which gave you all of the text information in a very accessible way. But the Google Documents, they start and they finish, and there is no way to... Normally, I flick my finger through different paragraphs of things, and if somebody comes in the room, I can then just pick up where I left off. The Google Documents, and I ran into this when my kids were in high school, they just run all the way through, and if somebody else comes into the document, it bumps you back up to the top again. It's just start to finish. There's no way to pause or also to have an active link, right? Like, so if there's a link to something, it's not active within the Google document. It glosses right over it. There's no way to stop on that link. And so I think the thing with the alt text is that the pictures were not being put into the text only version. And that was something we had talked about, is that, Kelly should have, even if the actual image was not put in, the description of the photo should be in the text only version, so she knows what was in the actual newsletter. She may not need the actual image of it, but like the alt text without the picture should also be in there. So I think the alt text was not in the text only because the photo wasn't in there.
Yeah, and also the text only has only gotten on the Blue Night highlights, and I know I saw Trish briefly and she heard about it, but I don't know if it's been communicated to say put it on Trish Hill's s'mores and everybody else's. It's only on Blue Night highlights right now.
Yeah, Kelly goes to the same school. Kelly's kids go to the same school that my son goes to, and I received a s'more from the health teacher. That most of the information in there was a screenshot of like a poster, which was completely inaccessible. And I reached out and I didn't hear anything back. So it sounds to me, I mean, it sounds to me the s'more is not going to work, but I guess we're not the ones that need to come to that conclusion. The Google doesn't.
I mean, there's a lot, Meg, not to interrupt, there's a lot of things too. Like I had to do pickup patrol today. I mean, I will be leaving Forestdale. My daughter will be moving up to 3rd grade. My vision has gotten too bad for me to even figure that out. Luckily, I called the school and they did do it for me, but that's inaccessible too.
Yeah. And I mean, they're going to be, with this new law, they're going to be required to change all of that stuff. Joe, would you be willing to meet with whoever you feel necessary, maybe Christine Brown and the superintendent?
Yeah.
Is that good with you, Kelly?
Yeah, I think we should come with the approach like, I think it's a good idea, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like,
Feeling
how
kind
are
of
they going to get this done?
done.
Yeah,
Well,
I feel like everybody cares, but it's just proceeding very slowly.
This is Lisa. Should we wait until after Alex investigates and also the MOD comes to talk about the regulations? Because maybe then if Kelly and Joe have that information before the meeting, that might be better.
Yeah, sure. I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, I
Plan.
think at this time we have some time because, I mean, school's almost over. So maybe our goal could be to get it all together for next year, you know?
Yeah, I think if we could get a meeting with them before school finishes so they know what the issues are, so they can get appropriate training, workforce development, whatever they need to do in place. So the next year, all the incoming parents for each school get accessible notifications.
Yeah.
I think that's a reasonable goal.
For sure. Do you want to, do you guys want to, I don't know exactly who the best person is to coordinate with. Do you want to at least, like, it might be worth you guys calling MOD, the same guy that did the accessibility for the town could probably point you in the right direction for that. If not, he'll give you someone else. So if you guys wanted to reach out to them, or you could reach out to Julie O'Leary. She's amazing. She's offered many times to meet with the school to help them get the resources that they need. Whatever you guys want to do, I'm happy to give you whatever contacts I have.
Yeah, I have her contact too, Meg. That's a good idea. I think at this point, maybe Alex reaches out to her contact. Maybe I reach out to her and, you know, and then maybe Joe and we can all meet and hopefully they can get it together by the start of the new school year.
I think if you loop in the MOD, they're going to have the most access to resources and to point people in the right direction. So I think maybe going that way first, and then you're just explaining all of the story of everything that's gone on. You know, that would be great. And Alex can add her input into that as well, that she finds out. The other thing that came up at a meeting at the school, I think came up at the DEIB meeting, because it is they're trying a Talking Points app, which is a communication app. Kelly, did you get a chance to reach out to Bryce Harbor about that?
No, but I will.
Yeah, and I think this is it's all in the same thing, right? All of this, including, I mean, the one thing we haven't mentioned is the paper, right?
I don't know how they're going to handle, and some of the attachments too, you know.
Yep. But I think now that this legislation is passed, there's going to be more resources. It's really like, you know, people are going to have to make these changes. So they're going to have to be able to be providing these people with resources. So I think it's a good time for that to be available. So if whatever information you need from me, just ask and I'll send that over.
No, thanks.
Mike, do you have that legislation?
Yeah, I think I sent it out.
Did you? Could you mind just at least resending it to me or letting me know where I can find it? Because I
It's
am
in the-
interested if they have a timeline.
Yeah, I think it was said something, and I don't quote me, but I think it was 3 years.
Yeah,
Which is
that makes sense.
not a lot of time,
No, it's not really.
or not a lot of time for budget and all of that stuff.
Mm-mm. No.
We've been
Not
saying
at
this
all.
has been coming for a few years. We've been trying to give them a heads up, but
Yeah. Well. Okay.
we'll have to find the money somewhere.
Alex, I'll put in the link to the final rule in the
Thank you.
in the minutes. I have that up here.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.
I don't know if Joe can be chair because he's really good at that secretary job. Okay. The 88, where are we for time? I only want to go for 15 more minutes. Let's see if we can get through some of this. I think that Joe, did you end up writing a thing for the town open seat?
I had my dates mixed up, and I was going to have it ready for our meeting on Friday. That
That's okay.
we don't have. So I will have it before the next meeting. I apologize for not having that in advance.
No worries. And the ADA grant, does anybody like that opens today? So
Hold up.
if we are talking a lot about accessibility and stuff, I mean, with digital accessibility and website, I still think the town should do that. I think they just need to apply for it for something that is actually accessible and not something that's not accessible. That's my understanding is they didn't get the grant because it wasn't accessible. What they were
Meg, in the past, they have applied for different things on our, the evaluation that we had done as a town, and
Yep.
they have applied to fix things on there. Do you know if they already have it slated to apply for something? And
not
who
that
would talk to?
Bud told me that they have a different accessibility grant that they're doing, but it was not this one. This one's still open.
Okay.
I have to meet with Bud for a few things. I can talk to him about this, and if somebody wants to come, that's totally fine.
And this is a grant that the town has to apply, right? This is not something we as a commission can apply for.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, you just need someone to write the grant, which is always the hardest part. I wonder, I know that the town is partnering with the Cape Cod Commission, and that I think they're writing the digital equity grant. The Cape Cod Commission is writing it for the town. Maybe they could write it. I mean, I'm pulling that out of my bum, but maybe there's a resource out there that could help us, is all I'm trying to say. Okay. Anything for that? Of course, my note isn't showing on here. So a bunch of people are up for reappointment. I had a list and my list isn't showing again. I think like Joe, Alex, hold on, let me pull this up real quick. There was a bunch of people. I don't know how Taylor assigned it to people. But there's a bunch of people that need to be reappointed in June.
I have it here. It's Alex, myself, Lisa, Julia, and Shonda are all expiring June 29th.
So if you want to be reappointed,
Oh,
what?
I just,
So
because my position was, got it, yep, I know.
yeah, like you get slid in to a slot that's available.
Yeah, understood.
So
So you guys aren't trying to get rid of me.
no. But basically I went back and looked at my email. It was in my notes, but my note isn't coming up. But I basically you just let me know that you want to be reappointed or not, and I forward that to the Board of Selectmen. You don't have to go or anything again. They do like a blanket reappointing of everyone. It's no big deal.
Do you
And
have
then
to get sworn in again? Oh yeah, we had the same
Oh
question.
yeah. So I don't know, but the thing is, what Bud told me, and one of the things I'm meeting with him to talk about, and Michelle had mentioned this to him, is that you do not need to be in person to be sworn in. And so they're working on making that a thing, to make it easier for people to do that. I don't know what needs to change to do that. And that was done all through COVID. So, but there's no requirement to be in person to do that. You can do it over FaceTime. You can do it over Zoom. So whatever logistically needs to be done to make sure that that's clear that that can happen is in the works.
I'm also happy to give anyone a ride to get sworn in if we have to go back. Because I would have to.
Thank you, Alex.
Mm-hmm.
So, anybody's that name that was mentioned, please write me an email. I will try to write a reminder email back out. Do we want to invite the police chief to come to talk about accessible tickets?
I move to invite the police chair to a meeting to discuss
Okay.
accessible tickets.
Okay. Is there a second? Are we making a
I
vote?
second.
Okay. All right. Wait. Let me get my list of names out. Joe Saunier,
Yay.
Alex Beaudry,
Yay.
Kelly Trapasso,
Yes.
Janine Cullen,
Yes.
Janda DeSante. She's
Yes.
Okay. Dome Jellison,
Yes.
Lisa Judelson.
Yes.
I can't.
Judelson.
Thank you. Meg Keegan. Yes. Okay. So I will reach out to him and ask him to come speak to that coming up. Chanda, does anybody have any questions about that? Oh, okay. Chanda, did you see the email from Charlie Holden?
Was it to me?
No, I think it was to everyone, but I was very appreciative. He had a suggestion of who to reach out to for Accessibility Day to get some help.
It's the Rotary Club.
Yes, thank you. I couldn't remember. I don't know. Who's working with you on that?
Joe and Kelly, I believe.
Yes. I can help you too. Just let me know maybe we could meet on the side.
I was going to say we should probably have a side meeting because I had a meeting with I'm sorry, Meg. Was there something else? Am I cutting in?
Nope. You're right on time.
Okay. So I went down to the rec department and honestly, she made it seem so easy. And I have a coastal access application here. And what kind of needs to happen next is we need to fill it out, go down to the parking lot at the boardwalk and map out sort of the space we're going to use, and then figure out where we're going to put our accessible parking for the event and then what the rest of it's going to be. And then we submit it to them. That is step number 1. Step number 2 is that we need to speak to Officer Bonaderic about whether or not we have to have a police, not escort, that's the wrong word. Yes, a police detail for the event. And then there's a bunch of other little things, like if we invite food trucks, we have to make sure they reach out to the health department and some other stuff. So I think it would be really beneficial if we just carved out a little bit of time to sit down together, because it would make really light work for a couple of people.
Yes, we can definitely I can meet with you. We can only meet 2 at a time, right, for our committee?
Well, no, because we're a subcommittee.
Oh, okay,
so
awesome.
We can meet together. We did that a while ago. Am I wrong?
No, I think you're right.
I'm pretty sure I'm correct. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're just bound by all the regular open meeting law
you gotta
requirements for the subcommittee. So we have to have an agenda posted. Somebody's got to run it just like we do here.
Okay, so let's figure out a time where we can have a subcommittee meeting on site in the boardwalk, and go from there.
Sweet.
Okay, great.
Julia's not here to give a social media update. I know that Dad Joe had a great idea about finding a systematic way to do that. I don't know if we want to talk about that today, especially because Julia's not here, so we can put it off till next time. But Joe, maybe you want to reach out to her and come up with something
Sure.
at work, because I think you're right. And she has picked up on a bunch of great stuff. I know that Lou Cerrone reached out to me and wanted to know if he could put his information on our website. I sent him in the direction of Bud and Mike Toomey and you know, and Julia, in case he wanted like a post about that. Anything else on that? We already talked about the playground opening. That's going to be a soft. Wait, what? You're muted.
I just got an email from Trisha. I just got it now.
Oh.
About the playground. And it was essentially the same, but they plan on opening Saturday morning, that they're going to post on social media before they open. But they do hope to open this weekend. And there is no formal opening, but we look forward to seeing us there.
Cool.
With the rest of the community. And that they will post on social media for the official, yes, we're opening, but the plan is hopefully this weekend.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Do we have any interested members today? Future
Meg,
agenda.
quick question. How many seats do we have open outside of us?
So we can have up to 13. Right now we have 9.
Okay.
If we wanted, so we could have 4 more seats. My understanding is we can add as we go. We just change how many seats we have. I'm not sure exactly how that is procedurally, but I can find out. Especially.
And then Mike, does that change our quorum, you know, before we can, if we go up to 13, then we need to have more people present to be able to have the meeting?
Yes, I think we would need 7, but we're not even close there. Like if we have 10, I think like where you have 9, we need 5. I think we have 10. I don't know if we need 6. I'm not exactly sure, but yes, we need more people to be present. If that's the case, you need 51% or whatever it is. Anybody have future agenda items? I'm gonna one thing I'd like to add is to have Sandwich Community Television come down now that they're going to be broadcasting our meetings. I'll want to have a discussion with them about making sure that being able to access them is a thing, and what their plan is for making more meetings accessible. So I think I'll add that for an agenda item next time. Lisa?
I have one, Meg.
Sure.
The Town Beach walkway, which has been totally washed out. Could I be pointed on that? It's not ever going to be accessible at Town Neck Beach. It is at First Beach, but just to have something safe for people to be able to, I have no idea what the plans are for that.
So I met last year with the rec department and Dave DeCanto, and they'd be more than happy to go down and meet with you, and I'd be happy to come with you. We ended up asking them to put up not rope railings, but hard railings, and they've been doing a lot of beach work there, and I haven't been down there, but their hope was, I know they were getting a first round of sand and then a second round of sand, and the second round of sand might have been a little bit more hopeful about making it accessible, but I'm more than happy to go down there and meet with them again. Just shoot me a text.
Okay.
But thank you for a reminder, because we were going to bring that up again. Anyone else? So the June is our my last meeting, well, kind of my last meeting as chair, but elections will be in July. So talk amongst yourself of who's going to be doing all this stuff. And just remember that what I do is not the standard, I guess. And you can all separate it amongst yourselves and delegate and whatnot. I always get a little bit of crap for always giving 120%, and I need to work on that. So, but yeah, any one of you could do this. So please think about it because we need to decide in July. Anyone else? Is everybody good for June 5th and July 10th? Okay. Awesome sauce. Does someone want to make a motion to close the meeting?
Motion to close?
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Lots of seconds. Everybody's anxious to go. Joe Sonier,
Yes.
Alex Beaudry,
Yes.
Kelly Trapasso, Passo,
Yes.
Janine Cohen,
Yes.
Chanda DeSanti. Oh, did she leave? It's fine.
She did, and I looked it up on the notes. It has to be noted that she left.
Okay, Chanda left. Dom Jellison.
Yes.
Julia's not here. At least it's Judelson, right?
Yes. And yes, vote to close.
And, Meg Keegan, me. Yes, vote to close. Passes unanimously.
Yay.
Have a lovely, and I will see y'all later. Reach out,
Bye.
meet up.
Bye.
I will be ending the meeting. Bye.